Okay, today is Thursday. It is 11:13 p.m. It's April 3rd, 2025. I just got back from washing dishes today, and and now that I've specifically identified my debilitation, the debilitation is I am not in the moment and I am not dynamic. Okay, so those are the two things. Many people they think really fast. They do. They think really fast. So a reporter was at this place where President Trump was speaking, and somebody attempted a assassination. And so he was about to get on the plane to leave, and a reporter asked the president, "How do you feel about being in the state where something like that occurred?" And he replied very, very quickly. He said, "Hey, I better get out of here. I better get on the plane." And the reporter was dumbfounded because the way that he was thinking, he's very, very fast, and so I mean, he is dynamic. President Trump is a dynamic individual, and he is in the moment. Many people are like that. They're in the moment. They some people, it's very difficult to grab the attention and be in the moment. But some people are immediate. They're in the moment. They're engaged. They know what's going on at that moment. It's like it's like people going into a meeting at a company and they're really not all there. Their mind is somewhere else, drifting, and they're not. They haven't been able to integrate themselves into whatever the meeting is about. Okay, so that's me. I'm the one who's going. Who's so. I remember I was working at this company in in North Carolina, and this guy was promoted to a lead, and he would walk up to me and he would make this face towards me, like I was retarded or something, right? So he was giving me this retarded face. I wonder why he would be giving me this retarded face. Uh, right? Because I mean, he's a RF engineer, and then so because I was thinking about that, why would he think like, why would he give me that, why would he give me that expression when he was talking to me, right? And now that I had time to, now that I had 5 years to look at myself, because I have to look at myself in order to see how I'm trading, so that when I'm trading, I would do certain things which undermines what I need to do in order to trade properly. And I've noticed this particular characteristics, which is I am not in the moment, and I am not a dynamic person. Okay, and so people look at that and believe that I'm retarded. Okay, and so he was looking at me like I was a retarded person, which is which is very, very true. Okay, people look at me that I'm retarded because I'm not in the moment. I'm not engaged in that moment because I'm not able to fathom what is going on at that moment, and I can see why he did that. I was in India with this friend of mine. He had his wedding, and we were outside, and apparently they have a hierarchical society where you have you have like servants. They have classes there, and so this apparently, I think he was a driver or something, and so the driver and I was engaged in some sort of a conversation. I don't know what the conversation about, uh, but my friend attempted to grab my attention, but I was not able to pry myself out of that conversation to join him in his conversation. Oh, wow. So there's a fee. There's a fee for it. Okay. For holding overnight. Okay. So I currently held in my challenge, I'm holding Bitcoin. Okay. and apparently there's a fee for like overnight holding or something. Anyway, so now he was attempting to get my attention, but I'm not all there. I'm not. My mind is scattered and is detached from the main focus of what I need to do. That's probably why I wasn't able to study very well in school. Okay, that's probably why I wasn't doing very well in school. So like right now, I'm like attempting to record this video, but I'm like preoccupied with doing something else right now, right? And so so that's my problem. So that is a serious problem. If I write a software, if I write like a bot that handles my trading, then I wouldn't because it would be fully engaged. A bot written in software is 100% engaged with the market, but I have to write code that allows me to communicate properly with the market, right? And so that is my problem. So how do I don't know if, so now that I know what my debilitation is, okay, that's probably why, like, when I have conversation with my ex-wife, that's probably why she divorced me. She couldn't get to me. She could not get to me. She was unable to engage in a meaningful conversation, okay, because I was disengaged. My mind was drifting. It was like that. When I was married, my mind was fully engaged in work. Nothing else. There was because it required my narrow-minded small brain to focus on that particular part of it so that I could stay afloat and be employed. Okay, and so that's what I did. I took the totality of my mind and then placed it at work. Okay, I parked it at work every day. Okay, that's what I needed to do in order to uh, stay employed. I had to do that. And therefore, when I'm fully engaged in the work that I'm doing, there's I cannot it's like I'm taking the whole thing. I'm taking the whole thing. Oh, I have apples in my car. So I'm taking my whole brain and then parking it in a particular situation. And then that leaves me with just a subconscious to do something else. And sometimes what I'll do is I'm not fully engaged in the trade that I'm making. And therefore a that causes me to like lose the challenge because the market is going in a certain way and I'm thinking totally different. Now that brings okay, so maybe I should sell now. I think maybe I should just sell, close it out. I could hold it longer, but maybe I should just close it. It's up like a 0.5%. Um, so so now I know what my problem is, and so now that leads me to the question of that leads me to the question. Okay, I'll get out of that trade. Okay, closed. Now that gets me, okay, so I'm at 0.5%. So that leads me to this concept, which is called um, do I respond to the market or do I predict the market, right? Do I predict the market or do I respond to the market? So I was like washing dishes today. Thankfully, nobody bothered me. Okay, which is good because I need my mind processing. Okay, it's like a computer essentially. The brain is essentially like a computer. It needs to it's processing. It's trying to figure out a solution, right? So so now uh, I was attempting to figure out, okay, so how do I resolve this issue of me having this problem, okay, this problem uh, of not being able to be being dynamic, and uh, I'm not dynamic, and also I'm not in the moment to engage with the market, and when that happens, uh, most likely I'm gonna be at a serious loss, right? So, I just closed my funding pips as well. I have two 10K challenges going at the same time. Uh, so now that's the situation. Okay, so So how do I resolve this? I don't know how I'm going to resolve it, because if I'm really tired, then I'm going to be incredibly detached. I'm going to be totally detached from from what I need to do in the work. Okay, that's the reality of this situation. That's my reality. Okay, so so I loved my ex-wife very, very much, but I had that debilitation, and she's wondering, where are you, Key? Where are you? It's like, so it's like, I can see that there are people out there with similar debilitation as me. Okay, it's like I'm zoned out in some world. My mind is totally zoned out, and so whatever things happening right now doesn't actually make it into my consciousness, even though it's being recorded, right? So whatever is happening to me is being recorded so that I can think about it later in the future. But at the moment, I'm unable to process it because my mind is engaged with something else. And so my ex-wife, who is dynamic and is in the moment, looks at that and thinks, okay, this guy doesn't care at all. Okay, so that's probably why that's probably why she didn't understand me. She did not understand me because of that. Okay, that's probably the reason why I got divorced. Okay, that's probably why. That's probably bingo, bingo. That's probably why. So there is this debilitation that I have. Okay, there's the debilitation that I have is essentially that I am not in the moment. It's my it is my handicap. It is something that is in me, and I see it. It's part of me. It's part of me, and therefore it's so it's like it's like uh it's like my ex-wife would say to me, like, okay, so you should start to jog, right? But my mind was somewhere else. It's doing something else. I mean, it's like totally oh man, I sold way too soon. Yep, look at that. Oh well, that's good. So my mind is totally engaged in something else. Okay, and therefore that's my debilitation. I think maybe my kids have it too. Maybe my kids have it. Maybe my kids have that, and people won't understand why they do that. Okay, they'll probably they'll probably think that they're disinterested or something, right? Like, or some people will give them like retarded face look kind of thing because I'm unable to engage. So that's my biggest problem. So now how do I now I'm applying that now that I need to apply that with something called uh uh projecting, okay, or predicting. Okay, so so I can predict what's going to happen, or I can uh, react to it. So I can react, or uh, I can predict. Okay, so when I'm predicting. I'm so if I were to figure out what that means is this. Okay, if I were to figure that out in if I were to just figure this out. Okay, so if I let's take one of them first. Predict. Okay, so if I'm predicting, I'm taking the data that I have. Okay, I'm taking the data that I have, and I'm extrapolating to see what's going to happen in the future. That's what it means. I'm going to predict based on what's there of what's going to happen later on. Okay, that's what it means. Okay, now if I'm reacting to it, then what I'm saying is that I'm taking the data and then doing based on what is there, which essentially is the same thing. Reacting and predicting are exactly the same thing. Yeah, it really is, isn't it? I'm reacting to it. So I look at it, I look at the data, and I react to it, which is essentially saying, okay, so I see it, I see the data, and I'm going to extrapolate it and do something with it in the future. Whereas predicting is taking the data and extrapolating it and see what I'm going to do later. So they mean the same thing. They essentially mean the same thing. So I don't know what these people, professionals, talking about yet. They may have something going. Oh my God! Look at that! I sold way too soon. Yep, I sold just way too soon. Look at that. Currently, the Bitcoin is going up massively. I sold it at 82,879. Now it's at 83,036. Yeah, sold way too soon. Oh well. Okay. Sold way too soon. Look at that. Can you say sold way too soon? That happens quite a bit. So now what that means, the same thing is that, okay, so I have to look at the data and be conscious and be dynamic in the moment to take the data and own it and process it and look to do something else, which means that I have to be totally engaged. I have to be totally engaged with the data. After I'm totally engaged with the data, then I have to be engaged. So I have to be engaged. Engagement. So I have to be totally engaged in that situation. I have to be engaged. Whatever the situation is, I have to be totally engaged. Now, how do I get totally engaged? I saw this YouTube video of this guy trade in a show called Trading Nut, and he says he made a little comment about when he's making a trade, he turns off news or something like that or something. So one of the problems that he has is not being able to be engaged in the trade. Okay, and so that causes the detachment from the trade, and that happens a lot too. It's like so I'm in a trade, I take a trade, and then I lose. The size is big, so I get like emotionally traumatized, and so that emotion creates a buffer between being it creates a buffer from the reality of the data and the need to predict what's going to happen. And so when that buffer occurs, then I'm unable to be in the moment. That emotion triggers a separation between the reality of the data and 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 my moment in my dynamic in the moment consciousness. It separates me from my consciousness. Okay, so that emotion creates a buffer between the data and my consciousness and my focus and my mind. That is why when I lose and then I get into this comatose trance, and then I would make one trade and I would make another trade, and so professionals talk about like placing 2 minutes between each trades, right? And so it gives time, or just stand up and walk. Okay, that is the reason why. So it seems like that debilitation is with everybody else too. Okay, it seems like it is very similar, but in my case, it's not the emotion that's maybe it is the emotion that's causing it, because it is the attention that I have in the current situation. It's like a dog that has that is totally focused on a squirrel. And whatever happens around that dog, it doesn't matter. It's totally focused on that dog, that squirrel, and it has to do whatever it has to do until whatever result occurs. Okay, that's the reality of the situation. So that is a total. So that means that means that means that what ails me is essentially not being able to engage my consciousness to the moment. Engaging my consciousness to the moment. That seems to happen to many people as well, it looks like. Exactly. So this guy, I heard this, so I saw this chat with traders, and this guy apparently was like in the market for like 8 years, and he was trading in and out for 8 years, and he would lose all that time. He would lose. But he had this really nice software engineering job, and so the money that he was losing wasn't such a big deal. But on year 8, somehow the market became conscious and he did something with it. Okay? So he was also in a buffer between the consciousness. So it actually is it actually, whatever this debilitation is, similar to what other people are suffering. Okay? In my case, it's life. I suffer it all the time. I suffer it all the time. When I'm totally engaged, it's like, okay, so as part of my job, I take beef, a chunk of beef, and then I trim it, and then I make it into fingers. Okay, so I'm totally immersed in what I'm doing. The owner, who's Catholic, stands next to me, and then he saw that I was like flinging, as I was trimming it, I was flinging like sinews and tendons and chunks of meat to the wall where the receptacle is. Right, it's hitting there, and he says, "Hey, it's flying everywhere," but I don't respond to him because I'm totally immersed in what I'm doing. Okay, I'm totally focused in what I'm doing, and and despite the fact that he says that, I'm doing something that has a overwhelming importance in my psyche that forces me to do whatever I'm doing. Okay, and that seems to be that must be that must be the subconscious being totally focused on what I'm doing. And so whatever the communication that I'm having with them is essentially just some sort of a recursory, like subsurface kind of a conversation where I'm just saying, yeah, I hear what you're saying, I can hear you, and I'm recording it. I'm recording it, but I'm not processing it. I'm not in the moment. The my consciousness is totally focused on what I'm doing at that moment. And so I am not I'm not stopping to engage. So I'm not stopping to totally engage to answer to whatever he's saying because I'm totally focused. And so what that means is that when I'm trading, I'm doing the same thing. I do that. I do that a lot. It's been like that. Every conversation that I have ever had in my life was like that. So it takes me a while. Like today, it's like, okay, so today I thought to myself, okay, um, so there was like, so like I can remember things that happened in my past. I record it, okay? So I record whatever has been happening, moments in my life, but I don't process it. So it sits there in my mind because I'm not so everything that I have is just recorded, okay? A vague recollection is being recorded. And so I don't process it at that moment because my mind is lazy. It doesn't want to process it. It just sits there in storage, in memory storage. And so then years and years and years goes by, and then something triggers it, and then I start to piece together what really means and then make sense of it, right? So so that is my debilitation. And trade when a I'm attempting to trade. So it seems like, okay, so predicting uh and reacting essentially is the same thing. Okay, so the most important part of day trading is essentially looking at the data, okay, and processing it, coming up with a direction, okay, and then also a couple other factors such as risk size, where am I going to use the stop loss, okay? These are the things that I have to package up and use at that moment. Oh my God, the Bitcoin is still keep going up. I should have just kept it. Oh my God, look at that. Oh Jesus. Oh my God. Should have just kept it. See right here, that was the, see, oh man. See, that's resistance right there. It could have gone all the way up there. Oh well. Oh well. So I have to keep that in mind, okay? I have to keep that in mind. So that means that the totality of my mind is focused somewhere else, and I'm not able to properly address that particular situation. That is my debilitation. My debilitation is I'm not able to place my consciousness in the moment. That's my problem. And so when I have to look at the data, uh, and determine what the trend is, but I'm not doing that. I'm doing something else. It may be just the first layer of whatever it is. It might be a green candle and I just get in without really properly thinking about that's right. That's right. So I would look at a candle and I would just enter without even looking at where the support and resistance is, because also has a that also determines, okay? So if it's a green candle, it's like right here at the resistance level. That means that if I get in, it's going to reverse even though it's green. But but I've but it that never occurred to me in the past. That never occurred to me. Now that I'm being a little bit more aware of what's going on, then I need to incorporate that. Maybe just a little bit more practice and things like that, okay? So that is my debilitation. My debilitation is I'm unable to put my consciousness in the moment. Okay? I have to do that. I have to put my consciousness in the moment. Okay, that's something that I need to work on. So I need to work on. So when I work on it, I can just do it like one trade at a time. And then after I properly utilize everything and uh, make that work, then I can make another trade, and then I can make it faster and faster, following the same thing. Maybe that's the solution. So my debilitation is unable to place my consciousness in the moment. I am unable to place my consciousness in the moment. So if I can solve that, I have hope. If I can solve that, I have hope. But if I don't solve that, then I'm going to repeat it because it just reverses back. It just it just so when somebody's talking to me, like it'll be like years before I get it, right? It'll be years. So somebody would be sitting next to me and would make a comment, but it would be just stored. I would be like a robot storing it, and then like years later come to the conclusion of what the person was attempting to say to me. That's that is my personal debilitation. That is my problem. That is something that I own. That is me. I do that. Okay? So that is my problem. Other people, uh, that's how you become dynamic. You have to put your consciousness at the moment. Okay? It's like taking a cold shower, I think. I think that's probably why. The guy also mentioned about taking cold showers because this wakes you up. It wakes you up to the current state of mind. Yeah. That's probably why. That's probably why 21 years ago, my ex-wife had mentioned that I should take a cold shower. Okay. Now, like 21 years later, the words that she spoke, I'm processing it. Because when she said that, I had no idea what she was talking about. I'm thinking to myself, man, it's cold. I'm not going to be taking a cold shower. Okay. Okay. And then when she says, hey, uh, 6 years ago, she said, standing right there, she said, you should start to jog. Okay. And I'm thinking to myself in my mind, um, my knee hurts. Okay. I'm not in shape to be jogging. But if she said, hey, let's you and I go over there, walk, then I would have done that. But when she says, hey, you should start to jog. I couldn't process it. The information was too complex for me to process at that moment. It Yeah. Now, wow, it's a disease. It's my disease. It's called unconscious disease, subconscious disease. No, it's unconscious disease, unconscious unconsciousness of the moment disease. I suffer from something called unconsciousness of the moment disease. That's me. I lived through it all my life. It must be when I just slammed into. It must be like two factors that caused this in my life. One of them is when I was like 6, 7 years old. We were doing hide and seek, and I just ran straight into the bridge, the concrete bridge, just knocked me out. Okay, that's one. And then my grandfather would ask me to get some alcohol, where I would drink the alcohol at the tender age of 7 years old. Okay, so those two things must have messed up my mind. And unfortunately, my kids didn't go through that. So even though I'm debilitated, my kids may not suffer the same thing that I'm suffering. Okay, because the external forces caused me to suffer this, but they may not suffer from this because my brain may have been rearranged into. So so it's amazing. I just got goosebumps. I just got goosebumps, or maybe it's the cold. I just got goosebumps now knowing that I suffer from something, all from day trading. Okay. I figured out something about myself, and it's called unconsciousness of the moment disease. So I suffer from that. Unconsciousness of the moment disease. So when people talk to me, I'm not engaged in that conversation. My mind is detached. It's thinking something else. It's like I'm thinking something else. Okay? I have other things that I'm doing. I'm thinking about something which is totally detached from whatever the attention that they want. Because I'm thinking something else. Okay? All right? Don't bother me, kind of thing. I know what I suffer from. And I'm so grateful. It's because of day trading that allowed me to look into myself to figure out what is ailing me. Why did I lose 300 platform challenges? Many people would be smart enough, they'll lose like 2 to 3 and they'll stop. But I had to do 300 for 5 years. Okay, well, okay, for platforms it's like 2 to 3 years, 2 years, 2 full years of platform losses of 300 challenges. And I recorded it, but I was not conscious in the moment to properly process what's going on, to make the right decisions, to say to myself, hey, you know what? Maybe this platform challenge needs to be worked out a little more before you keep spending like $30,000 on this platform challenges. It finally caught up, but I finally figured out my disease. I have a disease. I have a disease. It's called unconsciousness, unconsciousness of the moment disease. That's the disease that I suffer from. And this is all due to day trading. It has shown me what I suffer from. Amen.